Football with friends is fun as hell. My name is Alex Dunlap. Oh, gosh, man, I'm so pumped to be here with you guys today on a big, feels like a Tuesday, but it is indeed a Victory Wednesday. A little bit of a shorter show today, but it's still going to be a good one. I kind of want to talk about why the Washington offensive line might be overrated. I'm tired of, I was watching some of Ketchum's show earlier today with Catch and Chad, that Blake produces, and man, they were having people come in the chat. They're all these Washington fans. I'm tired of hearing all these Washington fans, man. I think that offensive line is overrated. They're talking about how it's the best in the country. We're going to talk about that. We have Anwar who's going to be joining us. I got the rankings with Anwar. Ready to go. Some tough questions for him. Some New Orleans-based questions as Anwar will be joining us live from the Big Easy. Wait, is it the Big Easy? I think it is the Big Easy. That's where Anwar will be joining us from. We also have Bruce Feldman today predicting a close Texas loss in the Athletic. He thinks Texas is going to lose 44-42 to Washington. He says take Washington plus the points. Do we agree with that? And then Russell Wilson. What is happening with Russell Wilson? What is happening with Blake behind the scenes here?
God. Restream is doing some weird stuff. Let me see if this works. If I do this.
Wow. Is that just if you put your thumbs up?
Yeah.
Can I do it?
Right. You got to make sure they're on camera.
I don't think it works for me.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, it works for me.
You got some magical thumbs. Hold on. Why can't I do it? Now people are going to screenshot it like I'm doing the whole gig, doing the Gig'em sign or something. Wow, that's really cool, Blake. That's neat.
I just realized it because I was giving you the thumbs up for confirming that New Orleans is the Big Easy.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah. All right. Yeah. So we have the Aggies playing some football tonight. I'm not sure how much time we're gonna get to talk about that. Let's see what's going on here with the chat. Sandman, so good to see you, brother. Blake Winfrey, great to see you. Blake. It's little Penix energy. Wow, down in Nicaragua. Wow,
Nicaragua.
Stay safe, brother. Is Nicaragua dangerous? It probably not. Little Penix energies, but not going to go anywhere too dangerous, I don't think. Bevo fan, so good to see you, brother. It is indeed fun as hell. Blake May, so good to see you, my friend. He's saying smash that like button. I don't say it enough, but I wish you guys would definitely smash that like button. We got Sark After Dark, Jay Ward, of course. We got Hacker. We got Doug Groschik. We have Harish. One of the goats here in the chat, Heron T. So good to see you, brother. Back from Cancun. Huh? I love Cancun. Speaking of dangerous, my wife says that we're not going back to Cancun this year, but we're going to the Bahamas. But I certainly love it down in Cancun for sure. Bunch to get to today. Lots to get to today. Again, we'll have Anwar on at 4:00. I'll be getting out here probably about 4:30. Remember, no show tomorrow, but we will be back on Friday with a vengeance. Cody Carpentier will be joining us for final takes.
Final takes, the last show before the CFP.
It'll be a big final take show. All right, so with Washington, right, the offensive line. So I see these guys getting up in chat, these Washington fans are saying, well, we've already beat you last year. We've already done all this, and far be it from me to be the golly, Blake. I'm looking at him. I just got out of the sauna. That's why I was running a little late. I look like a steamed lobster or something, Blake. This is just too much. The thing with how whenever you get out of when you get out of like a hot shower or the hot sauna or steam room or something like that. Do you remember back in school? You would go to your next class and you get like the shower sweats and stuff like that.
Oh, I got you.
Yeah, like after you work out in the morning. I feel like I got that going on right now. So you guys can bear with me a little bit here. But I see him in the chat coming in saying like, it's Penix and it's Rome Odunze and they're running behind the best offensive line in the nation and all this. And, we already beat you guys last year. And we've talked about how much different this team is than last year's team. It's like, well, we didn't have any trouble with T'Vondre Sweat and Byron Murphy last year. You hardly played versus either of those guys last year. We've gone back and talked about the pad level of Moro Ojomo and Keandre Coburn. I hate to say it, but this Tavondre Sweat and Byron Murphy this year are twice the player. Each of them are twice the players that Keandre Coburn was last year, and he was the linchpin of that defensive line. So it's a completely different deal. The first thing, and this is something that Ketch had talked about, at least on the write-up that he did from the Washington Insider that he had on. Seems more like a fan blog sort of writer to me. But whatever, saying that this 285-pound kind of puny center is like some centerpiece of the offensive line, a young, like freshman. Is he a true freshman or redshirt freshman center, Blake? Whatever he is, he weighs 285 pounds. I mean, good luck. And whenever you just look at this, I wanted to just go look and see, like, all right, let's look at Washington's schedule. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So
let's preface this with, they won the Joe Moore Award, which is why people keep saying they are the best O-line in the country, but clearly schedule and everything else, like, I think there are reasons why you could vote them as that, but Texas may still have success against them in this game.
Thomas he's saying that I want to look at something real quick. It wasn't just that Texas was without Bijan Robinson and Roschon Johnson last year. We've been over this on the show before, but maybe you weren't around to hear it. And I'm gonna just pull up my notes from that game when I went back and watched it, just to go over a couple of the differences. Some of the things that you might want to just remind yourself of. So you mentioned Bijan and Roschon, right? They didn't have those guys. It's a big deal, right? But other than that, just off the top of my head, Xavier Worthy had a broken hand and he played horribly. 2 absolutely miserable drops. Keelan Robinson was forced into a lead back role, total square peg, round hole type of deal. Jonathan Brooks was still recovering from his sports hernia. Diamante Tucker Dorsey had to fill in for DeMarvion Overshone, who also opted out. Jake Majors played one of his most miserable games that you've seen him play. This year, Jake Majors has not played one of those games. Quinn Ewers and Xavier Worthy had no connection in that game. The special teams that have been good this year, the special teams play was sloppy. There was a blocked punt with just a completely blown protection package. You had Jordan Whittington running into the kicker. You had a failed onside kick later in the game. The right guard position was still in flux. They didn't have one guy that started throughout the whole course of the year. They were rotating in Cole Hudson and DJ Campbell throughout the course of that whole game. The leading wide receiver in that game was Casey Kane. I compare that now to Xavier Worthy, Adonai Mitchell. There was 0 pass rush over the course of 67 total snaps. Ovie Ogwofo had 3 assisted tackles, not one single pressure, not one single quarterback hit, not one sack, not anything like that. There were the run fits on the defensive line, just the really bad pad level of Keandre Coburn, the really bad pad level of Moro Ojomo. It goes on and on and on and on. Right. It was a whole lot that was different in that last meetup. But I wanted to focus specifically on the cockamamie attitudes of Washington fans getting all up in their feels about, look, they can brag about the fact that they have Rome Odunze and they have McMillan and they have Dillon and they have Polk and they have Penix and all that stuff. You want to start coming and you want to start saying that one of the strengths of your team is being the best off because the writers, the cockamamie journos, these idiots, the mainstream media who you can depend on for literally no real information anymore, right? They're going to go ahead and they're going to be the ones that say, oh yeah, we're going to name them the best offensive line without looking at it critically. Right? Without looking at it, a bunch of journos. You were like, who cares? It's like if Texas would have won that award, I'd have said, who cares? Texas has been good. You should have known by your own 2 eyes that Texas was a really good offensive line. You don't need to get patted on the hand by these academics. Like what kind of society do we live in? So but if they're going to be talking like that, okay, Oh, no problem. Whatever. No problem. Okay, so this year Texas played, or I'm sorry, Washington played Boise. Clearly, all these games were wins, right? They played Boise State. They had 7 rush attempts for 78 yards, and I'm focusing here on the fact that what they're saying is that they're going to be able to run over Texas, right? I don't think that anybody's look, if these guys are saying that they're going to hold up at the point of the attack against one of the best interior, I mean, great. Cockamamie PFF calls them some of the best, the two best as far as interior pass rush.
Check this out, Alex. This is Nash. Nash pulled this from PFF. This is all the defensive tackles that Washington has played all year ranked. Look at the top 3.
All right, fine. I mean, I just and look at the pass rush stuff from Byron Murphy, the Bulldog, going up against a 285-pound man. Are you kidding me? He's been doing this like whatever. Like if you don't think that they're going to be able to get some interior pressure, better interior pressure than they did last year, better outside pressure than they did last year. I mean, Ethan Burke is not. I mean, he hasn't set the world on fire, but that dude's been a revelation compared to Ovie Ogwolfo. So. Whatever, but if we're just talking about the pure run stuff, right? If we're talking about the fact that they're saying our offensive line is going to be able to come in and push you guys around, we're going to be able to insert our will like we did in the second half, and look impressively, right? To shut out Oregon in the second half of the Pac-12 game, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, that's impressive. Absolutely. You give them props for that. That wasn't T'Vondre Sweat. That wasn't Byron Murphy. That wasn't the it's like Blake Winfrey said. Even Alfred Collins is kind of high up on that list. Mm-hmm. He doesn't do much, but as I've consistently said over and over again, he would be a real benefit to have back because it's not like he gets pushed around. At least he hasn't made the flash plays that you'd hope for, and been able to use those long arms to be able to get to the passer and do all the rest of it. But I mean, he doesn't get pushed around. And as of now, you can't say that about Tro Carter. You can't say that about Vernon Broughton. We've litigated this. But so they played Boise State, they played Tulsa, they played Michigan State, they played California, then they go at Arizona, then they played Oregon, Arizona State, Stanford, Southern California, Utah, Oregon State, Washington, and then Oregon again. Okay, I went to go look out of what the 133 teams that are in FBS, right? 133, and just looked at their ranking as far as on defense, yards allowed per game, right? You know that Texas is third on that list as far as rushing yards allowed per game. They haven't faced anybody near that good. They did play Utah, who was fourth, okay? But the important things to take away from this is if you sort by the let me see if I can do this a little bit better. Okay, this is actually fine. So if you sort by the defensive rank for rushing yards allowed per game out of 133, they played against the number 4 team in the country, 2 games against the number 12 team in the country, Oregon, 1 game versus number 15 team in the country, Oregon State. Arizona was 20. California, and then you get to Cal, Arizona State, Boise, which were, middle of the road, anywhere between 38, 39, 41, not even really middle of the road, like kind of getting more towards the middle of the road. Then there's a big fall off to these 5 opponents. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You have Washington State that ranks 70th. Washington State per game as far as rushing yards allowed to their opponent gave up 150.8 yards per game. In 71st place was Michigan State. They gave up 151 per game to opponents on average. In 92nd place, they faced the 92nd place team out of 133. That was Stanford. They gave up 163.7 rushing yards per game to opponent rushing attacks. Then there was Tulsa. They were number 94 out of 133. They gave up 164.8 rushing yards per game to their opponents on average. And then finally, the worst and I found this interesting. The worst run defense that they played was USC. They're 116th out of 133. They gave up an average of 183.7 rushing yards per game. Okay. So out of the 13 games that we've talked about here, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. There are 5 games that they played versus teams ranked 70th or worse out of the 133 teams, right? And this counts all the this counts all the bad teams, right? It's 133 teams, right? 70th or worse, bad run defenses. Ones that if it was your team, you'd say, God, we got to get that thing fixed. Like those guys were bad. 70th. Imagine being 116th. I mean, you say you're just like, that's bad. That's bad. That needs to get fixed. People need to get fired. Whatever. Call in the dogs. Whatever. If you just look at those, so the game versus USC, the game versus Tulsa, 116. The game versus 94, the game versus 92, the game versus 71, and the game versus 70. That's 5 games out of 13, right? 5 out of 13. The rush yards that Washington has gained on the entire season, they gained 49% of their rush yards on the entire season in those 5 games versus Cupcakes. It was 51% of the rest of their rushing yards were over the other 8 games versus the tougher opponents. These guys beat up on these guys are bum hunters. They beat up on bad teams in the run game. They just did. Like this offensive line is overrated. They beat up on bad teams in the run game. If you look at the rushing touchdowns, those same 5 games, again, what is the average rank here? The average rank of 88.6 versus the other ones where it was an average rank of the other 8 games where it was an average rank of 22.625 as far as their ranking nationally, right? Bad run Ds versus good run Ds. Okay. The rushing touchdowns, 46.15% of the rushing touchdowns came in those games. Those 5. These guys are bum hunters. They're overrated. Do you know what a bum hunter is, Blake?
Sure, they're beating up on bad teams.
Yeah. Well, the term comes from like poker or DFS or stuff like that, where you go out looking for bad opponents, right? You go out looking for opponents who you know are bad and that you can beat, right? The real bullies. Okay. Now you can also look at the yards per attempt. So in the games when they played against those teams, the yards per attempt in those games was 4.94, whereas the yards per attempt versus the teams that actually played, who actually had good run defenses, nowhere near as good as Texas. We're nowhere near as good as Texas. We're talking an average of 22.86, right? Texas is 3rd in the whole land, right? Against an average slate of 8 teams, right? Not only did they rack up all these stats versus these bad run defenses, but the efficiency. It's like, even if we just look at the efficiency, it's like, maybe game script got away, maybe all the rest. Well, it doesn't matter if you look at it on a per carry basis, right? 4.94 versus the bad teams, and 3.85, almost over a yard more, 3.85 versus the good ones. This is not an all this look. This is a good offensive line. They have a good left tackle. From what I can tell, they might have a UDFA sort of right tackle. They really like their young 280-pound center, right? But if you're going to tell me just to throw everything away because my eyeballs say that this center's got really good feet and he got his leverage and all that stuff, and they won the Joe Moore Award. The journos sure like him. You always got to trust the journos what they say. They don't look at this kind of stuff. Like my eyeballs tell me that they look fine. They look fine. But do you know what else my eyeballs tell me? They my eyeballs tell me that the Texas defensive front is good, is better. It's better. And I don't care if PFF's cockamamie, but man, whenever you have two guys that are ranked as number 1 and number 2 with it, there's got to be at least some kind of signal. I mean, I understand. I don't like their grades. I don't like how they do things, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if it's like, there's got to be something. There's got to be something to that. You can't just make up lie after lie after lie to, like there has to be something to it, right? It wouldn't be like they would put somebody up there that had absolutely no reason for it. Now, do I agree with the methodologies? Do I agree with what they? Well, I don't know. That's what I can't stand about PFF. I don't know what the methodologies are. No one does. It's the Wizard of Oz. It doesn't make any sense. Behind a cockamamie, it's like some dude standing behind this banner right here just walks out like, "Hey, I'm the PFF. Here's your grades." Like, well, what are they?
Wizard of Oz.
What does it mean? What does it mean? And we don't have, and we don't hear anybody. We don't hear anybody talking about the fact, like what? Washington fans are going to talk about this matchup, about how it's like, oh yeah, well we're not. It's not just Penix. It's not just like, what about Dillon and the best offensive line? Are you kidding? Why didn't anybody talk about what Quinn Ewers just did in the dang Big 12 championship game? Set every record on fire on Texas's way out of that garbage heap of a conference. Just set it on fire, right? Why do people not talk like this? Is the Texas offense not good? Does it not have 3 guys who are going to be, four first round players? Washington doesn't have 4 first round players on their offense. Who do they have? They got Rome. I don't think that the left tackle maybe first, second, first or second.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, McMillan's not going to be a first round pick.
No,
it's like on the Texas offense, you're looking at guys who you can just project that, if not first, like maybe second. Like, but you can't say that with defend for 4. You can say it for Xavier Worthy. You could, if we're talking first and second, you can say it for Quinn post senior year. So on the Texas offense, you have Adonai Mitchell. You have Xavier Worthy, you have Kelvin Banks, you have Jatavion Sanders, you have Quinn Ewers. That's 5. And nobody's talking about, like, it's all I hear. Well, I don't know. Like Bruce Feldman. I don't know. They do have Rome Odunze, and they do have Penix, and they do have these guys. And that's the one matchup where it could match up really well versus the Texas's one weakness, which is in their secondary. And I think I'm just like, well, what about Texas's offense? What about Quinn? What about Worthy? What about A.D. Mitchell? What about Jatavion Sanders? None of whom, I mean, they faced in any sort of measure last year as far as where they were on their development curves as they are this year.
Mm-hmm.
In an offense that was dysfunctional because of the fact that so many guys were gone and so many guys were missing. The whole identity of the team was on the fritz. Right. So, with all that being said, why aren't we talking about the fact that Washington doesn't have good corners? They don't. Watch the Oregon game. They don't. They're not good. They're gonna get called. They're gonna get called for pass interference on Xavier Worthy. You mark my word. I put the over under at 1.5 times. It'll be at least one. There'll be at least one of or holding. There'll be at least the over under is 1.5 of defensive pass interference and or holding calls on these guys because they're very, very prone to getting burned. We've talked about the safeties. They're going to be fine. I think the safeties are good, even though, man, I'm looking at some of these scouting services and stuff. They don't really have these guys high. They don't even have some of these dudes written up. The guys that I really liked. These linebackers are fly by the seat of their pants. I mean, if things don't go just right, man, these guys play battleship football. They just they hit the number and they hit the number and they're just like, did I sink the battleship? It's like you know what I mean? It's like they go and go and go. And there's something to be admired about that kind of attacking style, but there's also ways to counterpunch, man. So I don't know why we're getting Washington fans into the idea that, or we're letting them get by with the idea that all that needs to be talked about here is, well, on top of Penix and being the worst matchup for Texas, and Rome being the worst matchup for Texas, and Terrence Brooks and these guys who might have had some burns this year, Ryan Watson, go back and watch Terrence Brooks versus Rome Odunze last year. Terrence Brooks is better. I mean, I know Rome's better, but go watch their corners last year. Go watch their corners versus Oregon. Go watch how open Xavier Worthy got 2 times in a row on the exact same concept whenever he gets hit in the hands with these beautiful, what did Harish call it when we discussed this? Like these jewels, these perfect dimes, these beautiful balls. Gets hit right in the hands, 2 plays in a row, deep shots, ultimate touchdown, like absolute touchdowns. No way he's not going the distance. And he can't catch him because he's got a broken hand. These guys stunk last year. You watch them versus Oregon, they stink this year. I'm tired of the narrative being, that everything, gyms. That's right, Harish. I'm tired of everything being. It's like, well, Texas, you can kind of nitpick this, nitpick that, nitpick all the ability, but you can nitpick this Washington team all day long.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why their offensive line's overrated. All right, so we have Anwar that'll be joining us right at 4 p.m. right at 4. Okay, Harish says gyms. Okay, let's see. Rodolfo's saying. Let's see. Rodolfo was saying Alex, us young kids call them dots. Oh, well, absolutely. I mean, no hat for sure, brother. All right.
Stop saying no hat, dude.
Bet. I can say bet.
It's no cap. Okay. No cap.
No hat. Oh, no cap. No cap. All right. Do we want to let's do it quickly. Let's talk about Texas beef traders, and then we'll bring Anwar on, because Texas beef traders, you got to get over. Hey, if you guys want to get over to Texas beef traders on Friday after the show, I'll be getting off the show a little bit early on Friday and heading over there to go hang out with Darren. Man, he'll turn on the open sign. They usually close at 6. But whenever I go over there to hang, man, they leave the open sign on in case anybody wants to come in. So come over, hang out, get 10% off all your meat. Ranch Direct from Mason, Texas. No vaccinations, no inoculations. This is fresh, delivered fresh every week. The meat is processed right there in Mason, Texas. I can tell you about it all the time. I need to explain how good it is. It really is just amazing. Everything is just so amazing at Texas Beef Traders. And you can get 10% off of everything. Just tell them that you're with Orange Bloods. Dude, call up there, talk to Darren, talk to Shay. They know you'll be back so much so that they'll just bring it to your house. Like, they'll just bring it to you. But it's easy to get to, right in the heart of Lakeway. Just one of the hidden gems, dude. It's Texas Beef Traders. You can find them at texasbeeftraders.com. And through the game on Monday, you can get those tomahawks, those bad boy tomahawks right there for 15% off. And those are some like the big dinosaur bones. So yeah, texasbeeftraders.com. Make sure and go check them out. All right, we got Anwar. Oh, okay. The glue. I'm the Joe Walsh, the rocker, the glue guy, just all around fun as hell. All right, man. Well, I'll take Joe Walsh every time, brother. I don't know what does that make Anwar? I'm not sure. Maybe Oscar could let us know what that makes Anwar. But yeah, dude. Are we gonna bring him on? Is he good?
Yeah, we'll bring him right in.
Yeah, man. There we go. Anwar.
What's up, man? I'm over here looking at Texas beef traders right now. I'm a meat guy.
It's good. It's close to you. And if you head down there, man, like Darren and Shay will hook you right up, man. Like,
yeah. Say the less. That's what I got here. Probably landed about 2:30 or so in Nolia. Got to the hotel by about 3ish or so. So scouted out a place to set up and talk to you. And so here we are.
I appreciate you coming on, man. I hate you had to go through all that stuff.
It's all, man. Listen, excuse me, Alex. I've been here since 2014. You know how many times I've gotten on a plane to cover a bowl game? One.
Ah,
And that, of course, that was the Sugar Bowl.
yeah.
Outside of that, Alex, everything's been a drive to San Antonio, Houston. Like, this is a welcome change. I will take a change of scenery. I don't need to ever visit San Antonio to cover a bowl game ever again. Like that to hell with that. So
You
I'm
never
good.
know. It's gonna be hard in the SEC, Anwar. You might have to go back to San Antonio a time or two. You never know. You never know. I mean, dude. There's a what's the San Antonio game this year? Isn't it Oklahoma?
It's Oklahoma versus some other team that I don't care about. I don't know.
It was a good one. But I can't believe I forgot it. Oh yeah, Arizona. I think.
There you go. The other team I didn't care about.
Yeah.
I know we got that covered.
Okay, so I've actually, whenever we do rankings with Onward, and everybody knows, like after we do this segment, we're getting out of here. I'm going to be out for tomorrow, so I won't get to hear from you on the Prize Picks prediction show, Onward. So I just what do you think's going to happen? You don't have to tell me your prediction, but I mean, do you think Texas? Are you going to pick Texas to win? And how do you just kind of generally? How are you generally picturing it in your head? And don't give me the exact score because we'll let people.
Yeah, well, I'm not quite sure if I could be on a prediction show because they have media availabilities in the morning starting at around 9:30. I'll get Kyle Flood tomorrow if I'm correct, and then Pete K, I believe, is the following day. So this is it's one of these things that we how you want a little bit more access for practice and stuff like that. Well, we actually get a chance to talk to coordinators, which is something we don't really get a chance to do throughout the season. So I'll be doing that during the season. For me, Alex, as I look at the game, the one things that kind of really stand out to me, honestly, is that the Washington defense is really not that good. And when you look at that defense and you look at the areas of struggle for them, pass defense, they're not that good. I forget where their rank was. I had it the other day, but from rankings perspective, that's not that good, and I think it plays into the hands of what Texas, obviously can do well. I think that, I feel like the only way, first of all, if we see the Queen Ewers that we've seen over the past couple of games, I think Washington is just a team that's just going to get blown out the water. As just the Queen Ewers that we saw against Tech, the Queen Ewers that we saw in against Oklahoma State, like that guy does that. This is a cakewalk for this team because the thing that Washington does well, and I can't say it's the only thing, but it's an important thing, is that they're really good as far as of a passing offense, very good as far as that is concerned. But rushing wise, they're not that great either. It really plays into the hands of, if you're Texas, this is the perfect scenario, right? You're great at stopping the run. You don't have to you don't have to blitz a lot to get a lot of pressure on the quarterback. The one thing they can do is just pass the ball. And if you find ways to defend, you'll be okay. Now, it's been interesting, Alex, and I would like to get your thought on this. One of the things that's kind of been said as far as it came up last week, I think it was somewhere after TCU or so, where they decided to play a little bit tighter coverage and trust the front guys as far as the defense is concerned. And then they've said, like, hey, instead of just trying to keep everybody in front of you and just allowing stuff that actually allow those guys to play a little bit tighter coverage, that they've noticed a little bit of a difference. And if you've noticed that'll be interesting as well. But that seems to they feel like that's been a huge difference for them on especially from a defensive standpoint as far as their improvements are concerned.
Yeah, I think it has to do with just Manny Muhammad having to play more at the boundary corner, right? He's better at that stuff. They kind of like him more like that. Watts just kind of it's like his catch has been reporting. It's been real obvious to me that he this year it's kind of shown that he's not fast enough. It just is what he is. He doesn't have the same kind of recovery speed. I'd be surprised if we saw. I don't know. Maybe I would be a little bit surprised if they just ran out. I guess maybe the fact that Watts has kind of been hurt, right, and banged up, and has given Manny a little bit of runway. I guess I wouldn't be surprised to see him come out and have Brooks at the field and Manny at the boundary. Yeah. Right, just to kind of start, but they're gonna mix and match him. But I think I think it's had more to do with that, their just level of comfort and him. And that's something the Sarks talked about. As much as you hear about it with people saying like, well, I'm not sure how this receiver handles the press, and I'm not sure about how this cornerback's going to be able to press. It's like, man, at the college level and at the NFL level too, even like corners don't really press as much as you would think. I mean, they do in some situations, but it's kind of like it's maybe a little bit overbaked. I do think that it's kind of like one of these things like, it's one of these things like when they talk about, double teaming somebody to take him out. That doesn't really happen very much. If you double team a guy in the NFL, you're really opening some things up for some pain, on whoever you're leaving open. But there are things you can do to where once the ball is thrown, if you got a guy bracketed, you got safety help over the top. Once the ball is thrown and you see these two guys converging on a player, it looks like he's double teamed, but it's just a function of the scheme, right? So I think that Manny Muhammad is a guy I think it's with just by virtue of his skill and his change of direction ability and stuff like that, they can afford for his alignment to be a little bit closer, right? And but I don't think it's necessarily that they're having a fundamental shift where they're trying to press dudes.
It makes all the sense. It makes all the sense in the world, and it's sometimes it's crazy how the injury just kind of opens up that world for somebody where you're just like, oh snap! I mean, a good example. I don't want to go to the extremes, right? But you're old enough to remember that there was a time where Chris Warren and Deontay Foreman was splitting carries, right? And then all of a sudden Chris Warren gets hurt. And then all of a sudden, oh my God, Deontay Foreman just ends up winning the Doak Walker, right? Sometimes you just need a little something like that to happen for coaches to get out.
And Chris Warren moves to tight end. Do you remember that little twist?
I do remember that. And it's sometimes you need a little injury for coaches to kind of get out their own way and have certain things happen. And you're right as far as that is concerned. So that's why I think for me is the thing with Penix, and I think, especially when you look at his stats, and Ketch and I were looking at the other day, Penix for that first month of the season was just coming like a bat out of hell. And then after that, he really slowed down. And if you look at the numbers, like he really slowed down after that and was kind of just, he was doing this thing, but it wasn't like what he saw the first month of the season. It looked a little bit more human-like. The teams have kind of figured out the ways to get after him. And, the only thing that concerns me a little bit, Alex, is that I feel like Texas was kind of getting hot at the right time. And so to kind of have that, now you take off a month, it's kind of like, damn, you wish that game would have been in another week or so. But, that being said, I feel like Sark in the game plan, like I think he was talking about it when they landed not too long ago. I was just listening to the audio of that, also feeling like, they've also had some time to get healthy, also have some time to kind of game plan, for Washington, not wanting to do too much of over strategizing. I think one thing he said it was really interesting is that from an implementation standpoint, he was tried not to implement and put too many things in right away because he didn't want the guys to get bored. So as far as the install was concerned, it was kind of incrementally in order to keep the guys going, in order to keep the guys engaged. So one, they weren't overwhelmed, and two, they didn't get bored because they had everything. And at that point, you're just like, well, let's just get to Bourbon Street and party. At least that portion of that he's kind of worked on.
Yeah, for sure, man. And speaking of Bourbon Street and partying, I have some rankings with Anwar questions that we'll have to get to. Okay. Hey, Blake, can you put up the Val Garcia thing? And let me just talk about Val Garcia just real quick before we do rankings and Anwar. Of course, he's our good friend Val Garcia, and he's going to sell your house for free if you work at. Oh God, look at Val Garcia. Look at him. He's smiling like a man that's going to save you money. And look, if you work in education, you work in the ministries, and you're in the DFW area, he's going to sell your house for free. But that's it. He's just going to do it for you. Save people $60K in commissions last year alone, just helping people in education and in the ministries. But if you work with Val Garcia at Val and Realty and you told me you heard about him here on Football with Friends, he will sell your house for 1.5% as far as his fee, which is half of the normal fee, 3%. As you know, that's going to save you $5K, $10K. I mean, it's going to save you $15, 20K. So if you're in the DFW area, just please give him a call. His phone number is 469-647-8729. He's a hell of a guy. He's a viewer of the show. He's one of us. Again, Valen Realty. He's Val Garcia. You know him. You love him. God, I love Val Garcia. ValenRealty.com is where you go to find him. All right. Rankings with Anwar.
You got some cool partners, man.
Oh yeah, man. I got the best. They're the best. Okay, let's see here. Do you want to do some of the New Orleans themed one first or some of the football themed ones?
Let's do New Orleans since we touched down here.
Oh my God! Look at this super chat.
Wait.
Dude, VPC Soap Co is rich. He is rich. Look at this guy, VPC Soap Co. Dude, we love him, but I mean, we love Val Garcia. We love Texas Beef Traders, and we love VPC Soap Co. We've talked about it though when we've tried to look up what VPC Soap Co is when he did another one of these mega drops. I couldn't find what it was, but gosh, if that's a product, VPC, let us know. We'll pitch it on here for you.
But hell with that, Alex. If he can drop cash like that, is he hiring? I mean,
I don't know. VPC, they're so rich. All right, bro. Thank you so much.
What does he want? What does he want? What's the request here?
He says Alex, Unc, and Blake with no catcher Aggie is worth $100 on OB Live. So he's just happy that there's not an Aggie, and I guess he's he's just happy about.
I don't know. Is
it
against Chad? Is it against Chad?
Yeah.
I can't be against Chad because Chad has kind of revealed himself to be he seemingly likes the Longhorns a little bit more than you've seen the promos during the commercial breaks. I mean, and when they announce which team makes it to the playoffs, Chad is more excited than anybody else.
Yeah, no. It, like whenever Texas got in, he's sitting there. He's like, Anwar Richards is getting pushed around. I see phones out. I see all this. He's giving the complete play-by-play. VPC Soap Co saying, of course,
it says like cell phones are being utilized though, which is I think was the key weird word to that to his whole statement because he's like cell phones are being utilized. I'm like. All right. Either way, BBC, that was cool. Hey, for $100, we'd have kicked Chad off. No, I'm just joking.
Yeah, no. Well, yes, yeah. Gotta love Chad. Gotta love
Let's
Chad.
do some New Orleans ones.
Right. Okay, New Orleans ones first. Okay. How about this? Rank these three things. Okay. And I'm not sure if you've had them.
Maybe not.
Gumbo. Dirty rice.
Ooh.
Boudin.
Uh-huh.
Have you had boudin?
Yeah, I have.
Okay.
You got to give it a gumbo first. I'll go dirty rice second, boudin third. So, I mean, the gumbo, especially done right. I mean, it's just that's your meal, right? I mean, that is absolutely the meal. I love me some dirty rice. And the boudin's fine, but the gumbo, I mean, that's the headliner for me.
Have you ever made gumbo?
No, I'm not that talented.
Yeah, it's super. It's not just like making a soup or a stew. You got to make this roux first. Where I think you just take they say you take that old oil and you got to get that old oil. You put that old flour in there with the oil, right?
Yeah. You know, it's funny. They have a they're off of 620. They have a Creole place.
Stuffed food.
Yeah. So here's the deal with stuffed. I was really excited one time. I went there to try. I was like, oh my gosh, I can't try this food. It was there. I started to eat it, and it tasted fantastic until I got the third bite in, and the hair was in my food.
Oh no!
And it just killed it. It just killed it. It just killed it. It just killed it for me, stuffed. And I just never. I did, and I couldn't go back. I never went back. And it killed it for me. It's every time I go past there, I'm just like, hair nuts, please. Hair nuts.
Yeah. Stuffed Foods has some good, like you can get the food to go from there too. That's like frozen.
I was so excited. Oh, we
have a great sponsor of the Outsiders Stuffed Cajun Meat Market.
Oh well, cool. I just hope they, hope they got the hair out to get the hair from stuff.
Okay, how about this one? These three like items, kind of food and or drink items as well. Okay. Hurricane, Beignet.
Mm.
Do you know what that is?
Yeah. The sweet
Okay.
stuff. Yes.
Yeah, it's like a little, for people in the
It's
chat that might not know, it's like a little kind of, I don't know, how do you describe a beignet? It's like a little,
like a pastry with like a bunch
like
of
a little donut thing.
yeah, donut sprinkles kind of stuff on it. Yes.
Oh yeah, okay. And then the charbroiled oysters.
Ooh. Okay.
You know, the ones that have kind of the breadcrumbs.
Oh, no, then say less. The oysters come first. The beignet is second. The hurricanes are number 3. I had a bad experience with hurricanes as a young 18-year-old drinker. So the crazy story. So I came here to a Sugar Bowl when the University of Florida was playing against Notre Dame. Jerome Bettis was the running back at Notre Dame at the time, and so some friends of mine, we drove up from Florida to New Orleans. One of the craziest / worst trips ever, right? The van breaks down a little bit past Gainesville. You know, we're stuck in a place for like 8 hours or so. We eventually get to another place, and eventually our one of my friends left our Sugar Bowl tickets in the van. The van got broken into. Someone stole our tickets, right? It was just a bad trip. So nonetheless, it was really my first time ever drinking. And because the van got broken, because the van broke down on our way there, I didn't really eat much that day. And then we go on down, of course, and we start drinking. I started drinking Hurricanes, and it was a fruity drink. And I didn't realize
on an empty stomach.
On an empty stomach, and I didn't realize how strong they were.
Yeah,
and I'm young. I don't know. It's like one of the first times I've ever drinking. You can imagine the rest. You can imagine the vomiting that occurred, the violent vomiting that occurred, me nearly getting arrested for public intoxication. Probably because I was cursing at a cop at the time, so I don't think that helped my cause. And recovering for nearly a day. So hurricanes, I've just never messed with them ever since then.
Man, the 2 nights, there were 3 nights actually that I got big into hurricanes. One I remember was whenever Texas was it was the TJ Ford year when Texas was playing in the Final Four, and I was still in college. And guess who I saw at O'Brien's? I saw Jim Harbaugh, who I just recognized as the old quarterback from the Bears and the Colts. Right, I think he was probably coaching somewhere at that point, and he asked our group where all the college chicks were.
Damn.
But then the one time it was with my rugby team when I was with the Austin Blacks, and there was this one guy on our team. I won't say his name, but he said the first guy that passes out, I'm going to shave off his eyebrows. Well, it turned out that guy passed out first, so we shaved off his eyebrows. And then the other time, listen to what happened this time, Anwar. We went to Pat O'Brien's, got too many hurricanes. It was with my bunch of friends from like high school and college. One of my friends gets so drunk that he goes to the we were all staying in these 2 different hotel rooms, right? Some of us were kind of sleeping, going to sleep, or out on the balcony. He goes to the bathroom, like he goes number 2 on the floor, right in the middle of the hotel room. My friend comes out. He comes in like 5 minutes later from being downstairs or something like that. He had some chick with him. He slips on this stuff and slides. Dude, no. He went to the phone, the hotel phone, and called 911 on my friend that did it. Who was there in the room. He called 911. The cops. He said my friend just on the floor, and I've slipped in it. So so the cops came to our hotel room and like all this. So anyway,
Allison, before you go too far, Blake is going to show you this is one of the places that I'm going to probably hit up when I'm here. One of our guys recommended this place to me. Check that out.
Dude, those charbroiled oysters, Anwar. Oh, you got to get some for me. Just get them and think of me. Golly. Let me channel your aura and your vibe, man, as you eat those things. Just amazing. Do you like the raw oysters too, or do you just like the charbroiled?
The charbroiled are pretty darn good. I can do the raw, but the charbroiled is where it's at, right?
If I have the chance to get charbroiled, I mean, I'm not going to eat the raw ones. They're just those charbroiled ones are special good.
Yeah.
Gosh, man, I'm hungry just looking at it.
Yeah. What my guys he recommended it to me.
All right, how about this? just a couple more, and then we'll get out of here so I can get on the road and you can get on to getting some of those oysters. What about rank these three, the three big portal additions? Matthew Golden, Trey Moore, and Andrew Makuba.
Oh, that
it was so tough. It broke it. It's so tough. It broke the internet. It broke his internet. Oh gosh.
Am I done?
No. You're good now. I think you kind of froze up. I know you froze up for just a quick second.
Okay, good.
You appear to be back now.
That's a fantastic question. Because here, what I don't know, Alex, as relates to Trey Moore, is will it translate on this level? Right. That's what I don't know. I know what he did there, and I like to be able to connect those dots and see, but I'm not quite sure of that one. I'm gonna go Makuba first. I think he's gonna be number one for me. I'll probably go Moore second and Golden third is probably why I'm going to be, because I think Golden I think both of those guys will either be kind of rotational at some point. And I know that the wide receiver room's a tough one with Sark. I mean, look, Alex, remember Tariq Milton transferred in from Iowa State to Texas, had really good numbers at Iowa State, and we never heard from him when he got here. So, I'm not ready. It seems like everyone uses the term like he's the next Xavier Worthy pretty loosely with everybody. Like, it just had that Butler kid who committed. Like, it reminds me of Xavier Worthy. I'm like, does everybody remind you of Xavier Worthy? Like, I don't know if everyone reminds you of a future potential first round pick. So I don't know what Golden's going to look like when he's here. So give me Makuba for sure. I'll go Moore second and Golden third.
I like
Tough
that
question though.
Some people in the chat are saying that Golden has to be one for sure. I agree. He'd be third for me. I would switch it to make it more one, just because I feel like pass. It's like, gosh, the top pass rusher in the portal for me just feels a little bit more kind of you're cooking with a little bit more grease than you are with the top safety in the portal.
Yeah.
But here's
the only question I have is like, I mean, who we convinced he replaces on day one? Like, are we convinced? Especially got like Colin Simmons coming in, and
no, I mean, it's all of a sudden on where there's a log jam with the edge rush. It's like, are they going to have to? They might have to move Ethan. I've been saying they might need to move Ethan Burke over there to where he's rotating in and out with Baron Sorrell. Right? I mean, if they have train, especially if Colton Vasek comes along. What are you gonna do? I mean, you can't not play Trey Moore. You can't not play Colin Simmons. Vasek was a 5-star. Like, it's gonna be interesting what happens there. Okay. Okay. Now just two more, and these are both themed around like, New Year 2024, maybe things that you'll do in 2024 or sort of resolutions or something. Okay.
All right.
So here's the first one. Rank these items in the order that you would give them up for the whole year of 2024. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Alcohol, red meat, smartphone. And with smartphone, I've decided you could still have a communication device while you're out to make calls and send text messages, but nothing else.
So, well, I can give up a smartphone because I probably don't do 3/4 of the things on my phone.
You couldn't get on. You could not get on Slack. You could not get on Orange Bloods.
I hate Slack. So if you're
great, yeah. Okay.
if you're being clear, I hate Slack. I mean, it's a lot of mindless talk on our channel. So
spot the lie, yeah, for sure.
Sometimes you just get notifications and you don't know, like, do I need to look at it or not?
Keen is talking Mavs. Yeah.
Exactly. Someone's talking. They're talking to all. You just like you look like bing, 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 bing. It's like 8 o'clock at night. Like, what the hell am I missing? And like Luca is gone off, and someone's enjoying their prize picks. You're like, really? Can we get a group chat on that? So I could give up a smartphone. The other two is tough: red meat or alcohol.
Yeah.
I'm not quite sure I'd go a day without either.
I mean, for me, it's like two things. Like I'm just like, oh gosh, it's just like go find me a bridge to jump off. But I figured I was.
Oh shit! I probably. All right. I probably number 2 would give up red meat because I can substitute that, and then 3 would be alcohol. Because if I don't have alcohol, and there's no substitute for that. Like I can
take the edge off after a long day and stuff, right?
Yeah, I can find other foods and everything like that. And then God bless catch and stuff. I'm not blowing in the wind at like 9:00 in the morning. So hey, the meat. I can find a good substitute. Sometimes I've thought about just giving up meat, but just maybe for health wise. But then I was like, who cares? So yeah, that phone number 1, meat number 2, alcohol be last.
All right. And finally, in the year of our Lord 2024, I learned that in church on where I've always said the year of our Lord, and I learned it in church on Sunday that AD Anno Domini means in the year of our Lord, right? Because it was like before Christ, and then the year of our Lord comes after that. But I didn't ever put those two things together, that AD means in the year of our Lord.
So that means every year has been the year of the Lord
ever since Jesus was born.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and BC was before Christ.
Okay, cool.
So here it is. And so it's in the year of our Lord, 2024.
Hold on, it said, what's the point of going to the Steiner Ranch Steakhouse after that? And it goes ... Oh, wait.
Looking for the garden gnomes at people's houses, in people's yards on the way up.
God's a young guy too, so he's out there whatever night that is for the Cougar night is. I know him, and he's out there. Rodolfo's out there. Everything. I'm sure those guys are out there. But go ahead, Alex.
All right, here we go. One of these things you have to do in 2024. Okay. You have to get a neck tat. One of the big neck tats, like one of the NBA guys, kind of goes up like front of your neck, kind of goes up to your ear, kind of like a neck tat. And you can choose the design. It's
Yeah. Okay, keep going.
You can bring home 3 Siberian Husky puppies indoor, like to live together in indoors, or you can eat drive-through fast food for every meal.
All right, so if I had to choose, so I drive through. That could be anything, though, right? I can.
Yes, but I was thinking about it. I didn't want to say fast food because then it would allow you to go to like Jimmy John's or Jersey Mike's or stuff like. It's got to be one that you drive through. It's got to be a car.
It's got to be a car.
Yeah, you got to drive through. So it can't be Chipotle.
Yeah. I was just trying to see if there were any healthy drive-through options. I can't think.
It's kind of hard to think. I think if you can find like a Zaxby's or something near you that they have like the grilled chicken, salads. Maybe Chick-fil-A's got some of that stuff.
Well, so I'll start from the bottom. The thing I won't do is neck tats, right? That I've got tats on my body. I got a couple of tats on my chest, on my arm. Like that hurts. Like I don't. The people.
It's the fact of how it'll hurt, not the fact of how people will perceive you with a neck tat.
Well, yeah, it's hurts. Like I can't imagine the pain that feels like. As far as I don't care how people perceive you, people are always going to have opinions of you. So that part I don't care about.
It changes their opinion a little bit if you got a neck tat, I think.
Yeah, you can find people will always have an opinion of you. Those things you can't change. They'll regardless of what you do or what you try to be in life, people will always be. So if that's part of what you want to do, like you should do that and be free. I don't care about that. It's the pain factor of that around my neck. I just couldn't imagine how painful that is. So because of the pain, that's number 3. Then it becomes the eating the drive-through every day, or
every meal. Every meal.
Yeah, every meal, or having to take care of puppies. 3 of them. You know what?
And they're Siberian Huskies. Big furry, big furry animals, big animals.
Yep. Oh my God. I feel like I'm dying a slow death either way with the dogs or the field. I'll drive through every single meal. And I think I'll do the puppies number 2. In fact, I might switch the neck tattoo and the puppies, to be quite honest with you. I'm gonna switch it. I'm gonna switch it. I just so it goes to eat the fast food. I'll do the neck tat and then I'll do the puppies because at least the neck tat the pain will be over after like 4 hours. But the puppies are here. They are
Here for life, members of the family.
Well, dogs don't live long, and everyone starts
Yeah.
crying. Ain't no
Here for
everyone
their life.
Yeah, and then they die, and everyone buys another dog like 3 months later, and that's kind of how the circle goes. So,
Yeah.
yeah. I'd rather get the I think I'd rather get the neck tattoo than have that. But it sucks because my kids want a dog. They really want a dog. But I have joint custody of them. And so I'm like, you're not going to take care of them. And then I got to take care of them the other times. And I got to travel and, all these kind of things. I'm like in New Orleans. Who's watching my dog? So I was just like, no, I've made up a lot of excuses.
Yeah.
So no, thank you, Alex. That was really tough.
All right. He's no excuses for Anwar. No excuses for any of us here on the channel. Of course, I'm having to get out of here early today, so I'll be logging off here with Anwar. But thanks so much to everybody. I'll be off tomorrow, but make sure you stick here on the channel for all the Anwar's. I'm sure you'll be popping on to shows and stuff. Are you doing your show, Anwar, or are you doing yours?
I'm still working out the logistics. So right now, I'm actually in what's going to be one of the media workrooms. So they allowed me to come in here a little early to get set up. The media workroom doesn't open up technically tomorrow until 8:00 in the morning, which is when my show is supposed to start. So, and then the first interview is at 9:30. So I'm still working out logistics of all that.
Yeah, and look, guys, this is how it's going to be too. Like with Anwar when he travels, with me coming up here at the Senior Bowl and the Combine and stuff, and Army game down in San Antonio next week. Like you'll have to just work with us. We're trying to do our best to make sure that we're bringing you the content. These events we have to cover to be able to create the content. So just work with us on that, and we'll keep you up to date and posted here on the channel. So once again, thanks to everybody in the chat. Thanks to our great sponsors, Texas Beef Traders, Val Garcia. I will see you guys on Friday